You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a rainy, I haven't said that in a while, rainy Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. So give yourself a little extra time out there this morning. Pretty windy out there as well, but blowing rain out there this morning. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson 1, and our email for our show is always wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download the Tide 100.9 app. You can chat with us on the app, leave a voice message, but also listen to all the shows and the game this weekend if you get the app on your smartphone. So download the Tide 100.9 app. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They've been with us for a long time. If you're looking to build the fence, the deck, the pergola, you want something to last, go get a little cooler so you'll be wanting to spend some time in your backyard. So go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer closest to you, and always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want to have time for phone calls basically throughout the show, especially in the second hour. No guests. We do have some sound from Kalen DeBoer that had his radio show last night. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that, we'll play some of that. Also, JC will join us at 7:30. We'll look forward to visiting with JC. Good morning, Chase. Good morning, Dad. How are you guys this morning?
Doing okay. The rain's difficult, but we're okay. Braves lose 5-1 to the Nationals. The lady judge, who doesn't seem like seems like she's a little bit lost, is taking the information and gone back to the drawing board about what they want to do. As far as the NIL, how they're going to give the money to the athletes, and so I don't really make a big deal out of that every day, because every day it changes. But we'll see what happens there. The Pac-12, I think, is really the four names the Pac-12 wants to put into their program, put into their league. They already have Oregon State, of course, and Washington State. But these are names that you don't think are good, but their football is very, very good. The basketball is too. Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, and let's see, there's one other, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State. These are pretty good. That would be 4 added to the 2 that they have. It would give them 16. We kind of need a league at that side at the Pac-12 that's halfway interesting, and I think maybe not so interesting to the people listening to our show, but if you really keep up with college football, you know darn well these teams are pretty good. So that's one thing there. Yesterday or day before or whenever, Greg Byrne delivered, and I'm not going to go through it, don't have time, go through a schedule all the way down to 2035, which, of course, I won't be here to see all that, but kind of interesting how hard they work to try to get. And he said also that he was going to be very interesting to him to see for his future scheduling, to just see how the committee judges strength of schedule when they pick the 12. How they're going to judge that, the strength of schedule, going to enter into it real heavy. I think that's a very good comment, a very good something to think about. As far as in-state, he just answered it by saying he has a model that he kind of goes by, and he's comfortable with that model at this time. He didn't really answer the question. But I'm not going to bore you out. We'll talk about who I think the Blue Plate might be this week. But and we'll talk about the future. But the future does give Ohio State here in Alabama and up there as well. lot of different schools. Notre Dame will be up back and forth. So anyway, those are some things that came up with him. If you have questions about who they're going to play in 2033 non-conference, I can tell you. But I won't do that. So anyway, we welcome your calls, as Barry said.
Yeah, I think Rich Rodriguez was the one that had mentioned he'd play him on Saturday and Sunday. He'd drive up here and he'd sing Roll Tide and take the $4 million and go home. And I think Greg likes Rich Rodriguez. He hired him at Arizona. He considers him a good friend. I guess I'd ask, you played Mercer in the past. You played West Kentucky this year. And I understand that you're not going to play UAB. I get that. I understand that one. But, you paid West Kentucky $1.9 million. I mean, do you really think if you play Jacksonville State or Troy or South Alabama or that they're going to be able to beat you in recruiting? What is the reasoning for not wanting, and you can move them around and keep some of this money and help some of these in-state schools? Do you think they're going to take them?
The reasoning is jealousy. That's been the main reason with Coach Bryant and the main reason with Greg Burns. The jealousy of, when are you going to play us? When are you going to play? He has a formula of teams that he plays along with a good team, bad team. It's sort of like, if you want to call, I certainly don't call Florida, South Florida a real bad team, but he's going to have an Oklahoma State. He's going to have a Georgia Tech. He's going to have an Arizona. He's going to have a UT Martin. So he's going to have teams that Minnesota. He's going to have some teams in there that he feels like Louisiana Monroe is on the 25 schedule. So that's a little bit surprising. So we'll see. But I think the jealousy part of it, of trying to answer the phone calls of every athletic director in the state wanting to make that money, is the absolute major reason that he doesn't. Why
don't you just take, one school and then move it around? I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying, I'm sure you're right, but it's not a very good reason. So you're going to play West Kentucky. I know South Florida was a 2-for-1, and you're going to play Mercer. So you're going to go play a Georgia team, but not an in-state team. I never really understood that. And I know it's been like that for a long time. Auburn played Alabama A&M. I don't know what they got out of that. And I have to go back and look to see, do they play in-state schools? I mean, they obviously do. They played Alabama A&M. I don't know. I just think you should help these. If you spread it around, then, hey, we're not playing them in 2027, but we're going to get them in 2029. Wouldn't that be a little more interest to see Troy State come in here instead of Mercer?
Yeah, in 25, he's got Louisiana Monroe and Eastern Illinois.
Yeah. So why is that better than South Alabama or Troy?
Yeah, I think I gave the reason that I understand. I just think the phone calls come in by the truckloads, and there's a lot of schools, minority schools and Caucasian schools that have a hissy fit to make that money. I think it prays on it all. I just think he thinks it's just too much to deal with.
But wasn't it like that even before he got here, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so it wasn't like he came in and I think he just carried on.
Coach Bryant believed in the recruiting part. He believed that, if you go into Birmingham and get somebody that he wanted, he's calling you in to find out why we lost him. Clem Griscoll was in charge of our recruiting, and we had 4 coaches to go around the state. Huntsville, North Alabama area, and the West Alabama area, South Alabama, all the way. And of course, the Birmingham area, we had 2 sets of coaches.
But they'll play them in basketball, but you won't play them in football.
We didn't play them a lot in basketball.
I know Nate O's played Jacksonville State here, so I don't get it. Whatever. They have a model line. I guess it's been that way for a long time. He does
have a model line, and what he
does.
Like
I ain't. At the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. But Like spread it around, and it'd be thrill for a lot of these in-state kids to have the opportunity to come here and play. Maybe there's something behind that, but if they're any good, they can just transfer to your school anyway, and not have to sit out. So anyway, all right, that's enough of that tonight. Which I do understand why money. Hit the ching button, Chase. Ching. Hit that ching button that you play for Gary. Go ahead, hit that ching button. I'll ching it for you. Ching. The Bills play the Dolphins. And what's that going to be on NBC? No. ESPN's got that one? No. Fox. It's going to be on Fox. No. Prime Video is going to be showing the NFL game tonight. So it's all about the money. I'm sure all these streaming places now get an NFL game. So what does that make people do tonight? They're going to get ready to watch the game. They're going to turn it on NBC, and they're going to say, wait a minute, where's the game? They're going to go look and say Prime Video. So you have to get a subscription to Prime Video. So you go order a subscription, which I think I have one because of Amazon Prime that we use. So I'll be able to get the game. But a lot of people will go and purchase Amazon now just so they can watch this game tonight. So they are gouging you at every end now in everything in life. 2 Men in a Truck around 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you would go if you want to pick up some boxes, packing supplies, whatever you need in preparation for this move. Local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. Now, moving is stressful. These guys will take the stress away. So give them a call, 205-247-5050. That's 2 Men in a Truck, movers who care.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, early morning traffic is just not bad at all. We do have some spotty showers in the area, so you definitely want to be careful of that. Of course, this is the coming of Hurricane Francine here, the remnants of that. So just be careful on all transition ramps, overpasses, bridges, and so such.
Tuesday night, live from Walk On Sports Bistro for Hillcrest Huddle. That's Brent Jones each week as the Hillcrest Patriots march towards the playoffs.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside.
Sell now at PearlRiverResort.com.
Yeah, that's right where I need to be.
Don't miss Gary Allen. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and windy with rain and thunderstorms today. The chance of a few brief isolated tornadoes, the high 75. Showers diminishing tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. To the Yellowwood Hotline. Morning, Philip.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm fine. I thought South Florida brought a nice contingent of fans, and they seemed to have a good time and were excited to be on campus. I'm one of these guys. I think it'd be great for Alabama to host South Alabama or Jacksonville State. I just think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be a pretty festive occasion and would be good. I think it'd be a really enjoyable thing, and I don't think it would hurt Alabama. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, would you rather watch Alabama play UT Martin or play Jacksonville State? They probably have some kids that you're familiar with that you'd like to, you watched in high school, or Mercer. I would like to see them play the in-state guys. I know they have their reasonings, and I'm sure they're justified in their – but, come on, guys, at this point. Let's go. Alabama's – they're not going to lose a recruit to those people. So.
Well, all I know is, at the Saban ceremony the other day, they talked about how important the fans were. So I think it'd be good for good for the fans to see something. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'd be a real festive occasion, and a lot of money would be made in Tuscaloosa that day. I know that.
Yeah, help the economy. People would come up and go to the game and spend the money. But anyway, they have a model, and I do understand what Greg Burns saying. It's I don't think he's going to change that part, but let's go through and see how this committee is going to, about the strength of schedule. And I think, as long as you're in the SEC, your schedule is going to be tough enough to get in the final 12 if you play pretty well.
Well, changing courses here a little bit before I hang up is, what are you two gentlemen, looking for this weekend out of Alabama? What do you expect? What are you looking for? Are you necessarily looking for some new wrinkles, any surprises that you guys have thought about that we might want to know about?
That.
Oh, I think you'll be sure that I don't think the pass rush at Wisconsin will be probably as good as South Florida's, really. But I think that they realizing that they're going to go after the quarterback and they're going to throw the quick pass somewhere right over the line, I think. And I think they work on that a lot more, being darn sure that they do a good job against a quick pass rush without having to even come back, just snap it and throw it. I think they work on that. After studying it some, I'm not so sure that Wisconsin's pass rush is as great as I thought it was going to be. Maybe I'm wrong, because I don't know that much about it. But I think doing a good job offensively with some quick stuff rather than so much long, and I think also to get the running game established is important. And I know sometimes the way the defense plays, you can't establish it, but I think those two things are important. Seem to be important to me.
Yeah, I would hope you can get your best players on the field playing together. It sounds like Caden Proctor is practicing this week, and so if he's one of your best and you think he's going to be the guy that you're going to need when you go to Tennessee or you play Georgia, obviously then you play these guys, because they need to start playing, because the water's going to get deep here pretty soon in a couple of weeks when Georgia comes in. And I laugh when people say, well, they don't want to show everything right now. Guys, they're going to run whatever they got to run to win the game. They're not hiding anything. But as the season goes on and more practice time, then you add to your offense. You add wrinkles. Hey, we did this in this formation, and then you add as you go. It's not like you're going to hold something back because you're afraid Georgia or Tennessee or LSU might see it. If you need to run it to win the game, they're going to run it. They're not hiding anything. But as the season moves forward, they'll continue to add to their defense and their offensive package.
Philip, is it possible for Alabama people to know how good Alabama is compared to Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee right now? You've seen one blowout in one game that was hard. Is it possible to judge Alabama with those three teams?
I think it's. That's a really good question. That is a good question. I think Texas right now is there. I think there are two teams in the SEC right now that are really good, and I think Georgia's really good. But right now, I think Texas is at the top of the league right now. Just to me.
When you talk about those two, when you talk to Texas, they would scare me to death because of Steve Sarkisian's play calling and game planning. Georgia would scare me because of Kirby and their defense. So it's two different sides of the ball that kind of scare you. Now, Georgia's quarterback would scare you as well. But Sark, when he plays these teams, he has guys running wide open just off of scheme. He out schemes these people a lot of times.
He really does. And I'm going to tell you a game that really we haven't talked about that much going forward. And I know it's a little bit of a ways off, but the team that I think is going to be really somebody to watch later on in the schedule is going to be Tennessee going to Georgia in November. I think Tennessee is a dangerous football team, and I don't think it matters whether they play at home or away. They're the kind of team that their system, their style of play can adapt almost immediately to whatever venue they're in.
Yeah, we'll see. But as you start playing each other, the cream will rise to the top. It always does. So
it always does.
That's right. Thank you, Philip.
All right. 15-14 Alabama.
15-14 Alabama. Ooh,
Golly.
that'd be a lot of nervous people. Thanks, Philip.
Wow.
All right, back to the Yellowwood Hotline. Morning, Pat.
Hey, good morning. In about 2001, 2003, somewhere along there, Troy, Alabama went over to Mississippi State. You lose to a Troy, Alabama, ain't nothing would be good about that. South Alabama went up to Nebraska, somewhere up there, and beat them. Nothing to be won by losing to a directional school.
Yeah, but if you lose to those schools, you just suck that year, Pat. I mean,
I understand.
Who did Coach Saban lose to his first year?
Louisiana. Not Louisiana Monroe. Yeah. Northern Illinois.
No, it was Louisiana. Whoever Monroe. I think you're right. Did that destroy the program? Did that destroy the program?
Didn't help.
It didn't.
It hurt my. It hurt my feelings that day.
It didn't help. It hurt
didn't
for
help.
a while. Yeah.
What do you mean?
No, it didn't help.
What do you mean it didn't help? Nick Saban went on the greatest run in Alabama history after that season.
But it still didn't help.
Why didn't it help?
Because
it did help because people looked over there and said, "Man, that's Alabama. They're losing to that team. I know I can play there." And recruiting went out the roof.
Yeah, right.
It did.
You lose. But I promise you this: just like Mississippi State over there, you lose to a Troy. And oh my Lord.
You lose
never
to
hear the end of it.
You lose to them, you're just bad. So that's just the way that is.
But I'm not. I'm not for it. I don't want to play any of the in-state schools at all. Besides that, if I'm going to go somewhere, if you're going to have a home and home, I want it to be a destination. And I because y'all don't understand. We're fixing to go to a 9-game schedule. We're going to go to
what is the difference between?
That's going to happen.
What is the difference between losing to Mercer and losing to Troy? You suck either way. What's the difference?
It'd be bad.
What's it? It'd be bad either way.
Let me explain. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen to explain to all of our listeners. A Notre Dame and a Ohio State that come into Alabama, not the same year, but every other year, takes care of the season ticket holders. He wants to keep the season ticket holders there. And by that one game, which will be Ohio State,
I understand
Notre Dame, that brings them in there and keeps them in there. I'm buying season tickets just because they're playing Ohio State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're still going to play a Mercer or somebody like that, but they got Ohio State with it. If you lose to Mercer or Troy, games. There ain't no difference.
Yeah. Well, you got to have games that gives you a break that pretty sure you're going to win.
Yeah.
And that you're not going to have to, you can rest kids that may need to heal up before a big game.
Well, I'm not buying that logic. If you lose to Troy, you could have lost to, Mercer. So neither one of them good.
I'm with Pat on that.
Y'all are wrong. If you lose to Troy, they're going to say, man, I can play at Bama. Man, they ain't got no players. I'm going there now.
If you lose to Troy, they're saying that program's gone. We got to get rid of that coach quick.
If you lose to Mercer, they're saying the same thing.
You ain't gonna lose
that's okay. That was Mercer. That wasn't an in-state school, so he's a good coach now. That doesn't even make sense. Y'all know that doesn't make sense.
Well, all I can tell y'all is that we're fixing to go to a 9-game conference schedule. It's going to be tough, and you better have a couple of games.
I don't like a 9-game schedule.
What's going to happen whether you like it or not?
Because you unbalance your home and away, and I don't like that. I think that's fair.
I like it. I like it for when I do get better home games.
You will. Every other year you will. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah. All right. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right. We'll take the break here. We'll get JC in. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM. WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, early morning traffic is just not bad at all. We do have some spotty showers in the area, so you definitely want to be careful of that. Of course, this is the coming of Hurricane Francine here, the remnants of that. So just be careful on all transition ramps, overpasses, bridges, and so such.
Business, Tuscaloosa Tractor has great deals and financing programs on Kubota equipment to fit your budget. Tuscaloosa Tractor, Skyland Boulevard East. Don't you buy no ugly tractor.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure treated pie from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want to get to the Yellowwood hotline. He's the owner of thebigspur.com. Joins us every Thursday. Got several podcasts he'll mention at the end. JC Sherbert. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, Jason. Good morning, fellas. Good to be with you today.
Go ahead, Dad.
Is Wisconsin as good as South Florida?
I don't think so. I was talking to, it's not as, I was talking to somebody that's a lifelong Badger the other day, and, Luke Fickell, very successful coach at Cincinnati, can't argue with him. But man, oh man, it feels like, based on, and Fickell's a defensive guy, but it feels like when Rich Rodriguez went to Michigan, offensively up there. You've got a DNA. Since Barry Alvarez, you've been successful doing ground and pound. The one thing you can get there in your backyard's big linemen, and that allows you to recruit great running backs. And you've won that way at Wisconsin, where there's probably one to three Division I guys in the whole state a year. Well, Phil Longo is a spread tempo guy. And I just don't think that – I think sometimes you just don't monitor. Bill Callahan at Nebraska is another example, and how far it set them back. It just feels that way. I'll say this. Alabama's got to clean up some of the sloppy play. They can't turn it over a bunch because that's going to ignite one of the most underrated home crowds in college football up in Madison. They do a great job, but I think South Florida, with what they do offensively and their athletes, that's a different animal than what Wisconsin's trying to do, almost disappointingly. But, it's definitely a game you got to show up ready to play, guys. The spread's pretty big, but I think Alabama will be fine. I was a bit surprised. Alabama fans, I heard, were kind of grumbling after a 42-16 win. Certainly, they pulled away at the end, but y'all all remember what happened against South Florida last year. So don't schedule South Florida anymore and just move on. Alabama's outscored two teams 105-16 to start this year. Yeah,
well, unfortunately, it was a 2-for-1, so they do have to play South Florida one more time.
Good Lord.
And no getting out of that. College game day going to Columbia. LSU coming in. I guess college game day is going to end, and the game's going to start. Now, we know the crowds at Williams-Brice at night are great. I think it'll be good there. Just your thoughts. LSU's a 7-point favorite there on the road. You nailed South Carolina last week. I couldn't understand the line, and, man, they made Kentucky look bad. South Carolina's defense was terrific. What do you see happening in this game, JC?
Yeah, South Carolina last week sort of, defensively or kind of game flow-wise, it sort of reminded me of some of those old Alabama teams Saban had early, where they go on the road, it would be close for half, and the defense just takes over. They get enough offense, and then somebody gets a pick six and it's a blowout. That's exactly what happened there. I think that's the South Carolina team I'm expected to see. LSU's got some different challenges. I don't think LSU's quarterback's going to be quite as bad as Vandegrift last week. But, I mean, I don't want to say that it was all Brock. He didn't have anybody open. And the Gamecocks were after him the whole game. LSU, though, has the best offensive line in the country. It was kind of a strange – it shows you how quickly things can change in this game. I'm sitting there about, I guess it's 2:15 Central, waiting on the game to start. I'm getting texts from my Gamecock buddies wondering why Shane can't hire Bobby Petrino as the OC. Because they're watching that Arkansas game and them going up and down the field. Then the next thing you know, 3 hours later, Beamer's back to, promising young head coach status. Yeah. Everybody's happy.
Oh, yeah.
And then game day decides they're coming. That game day thing, there were no rumors about that. There were no, like, if they win, game day will come. I did hear Kentucky, had they won, game day would have probably gone to Lexington. But just a strange turn of events. I'll be honest, guys. Even had they lost to Kentucky, I felt like this when you look at LSU and you look at when they played programs like South Carolina, through the years, even when Spurrier was there, LSU had the ability to line up and dominate both lines of scrimmage. I look at their defensive line now, and they just lost their starting interior tackle, 3 technique, 320-pound in-state kid that's really good. And they're just they missed in the 4 long guys. They're thin. They're very, very un-LSU. And South Carolina's got questions on the offensive line. And then South Carolina's defensive line, it's the biggest challenge they may face all year. But they're pretty good. They're also at home. I think the Gamecocks are going to give them a heck of a game. I think that 7's way too high, unless the Gamecocks fumble and stumble and have 4 or 5 turnovers. You know how things go in a game, but just straight head-to-head matchup-wise, I like this one better than Kentucky all offseason because Kentucky does have NFL players on their D-line.
Wow. That.
The 2 games are interesting. Boston College at Missouri. Boston College offensive coordinator is Alabama. He's very good. Nobody thought so but me. And I think that'll be interesting. I think Texas A&M at Florida will be interesting.
I do. How many points is BC getting against Missouri?
They're getting 16.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, I thought that could be challenging just because of the Bill O'Brien factor. And, BC's got the type of offense. And, the question I had with Missouri coming in, they did lose some players on their defense. They do have a new D coordinator. He's at LSU. The old one's at LSU now. If Boston College can go in there and hold the football like they did at Florida State, they got a tough, gritty defense. And you mentioned the play calling and Bill O'Brien, and then Will Lawing, who's Brad Lawing's son. We know Brad Lawing, the late, great Brad Lawing of Erie.
Yeah.
He's the OC there. He's with them at the Patriots. People underestimate Bill O'Brien. I know folks in Tuscaloosa probably just were not high on him because they lost some games, and he wasn't Sark. But he's really good, especially at the college level. If you look at what he did at Penn State, I think they can scheme him up and keep it close. This was one during the offseason I thought, well, BC can play Florida State close, and they ended up winning by 15 and start and get in their momentum. That's a team you kind of look at if you're Missouri, and you're like, well, at the beginning it's like, well, easy win. Now you're like, why in the heck did we schedule this? And then Texas A&M Florida is like a game of survivor. I don't know where CBS Sports Line's getting their projections. They projected A&M in the playoff, but this playoff projection didn't even have a group of 5 teams, which was weird. But A&M goes in there and beats them down. It's going to be bad for Billy Napier. But I think Florida, they've gotten some renewed energy with their freshman quarterback. I know A&M is good on defense. I don't know about their offense. It's a big game for both teams. Almost like hey, we need to win this one if we're going to have the season we're going to have. It sounds weird in week 3, but especially for Florida as it gets tougher and tougher. And if you win this one near the Gators, I said LSU comes to town during that bad stretch. I mean, if Florida can get some wins, there's nothing that says they have to lose to LSU at home. They got Mississippi State after this, so if you beat A&M, Mississippi State, all of a sudden, you're 3-1 or whatever. I think UCF's after that. You could have a 4-1 start, and people calm down a little bit. So it's a titanic game down in the swamp. I don't know who to tip. I would probably lean A&M just because that's the way things have gone for Florida recently in a close one.
The other game, Ole Miss, who's, they haven't played anybody. They'll be in Winston-Salem. Not a big stadium over there by any means. I was there for a year. But Ole Miss, 22.5-point favorite there. Sometimes Lane Kiffin will lay an egg and not get his team ready to play. I'm sure they will be ready. What do you think about this Ole Miss team? What you've seen so far? And will they go over there? Do you think they cover this 22.5?
Yeah, and if this was Wake Forest a couple of years ago, Hartman's team and stuff, I'd say look out. But they don't have a very good football team. They had a lead on Virginia and blew it. This is kind of success at Wake Forest in football is very cyclical. And with the transfer portal and everything else now, I just don't know that their recipe is going to work like it did, because their thing was, let's redshirt a bunch of guys and build it up. And then by the time they're seniors, we'll have 2 years of pretty good football. And now those guys, anybody that's good is probably leaving because they don't want to play in front of 8,000. So I look at that, and I think Ole Miss will be on coaster. On coast time until they go to Columbia, really, unless we see Kentucky sort of get up off the mat, because they do play Kentucky at home here in a couple of weeks. But I think it'll be a blowout and won't be close. It'll be kind of like Ole Miss went to Georgia Tech a few years ago and blew them out. I think it'll be the same kind of blowout.
Yeah, that.
I hate to throw this in there based on what talk about games. It's more fun to our listeners. But with all the judges trying to figure out about the NCAA and NIL money and all this kind of thing, behind the scenes, do you know anything that's going to be definitive as to what they are going to do, regardless as far as scholarships or anything like that, money that we can talk about, Barry and I can talk about and count on, or is it? I don't do it every. Go ahead.
It's way up in the air, because part of the NCAA willing to bite on this was that, okay, well, we'll finally do something about NIL, and the judge out there doesn't want to do anything about it. Yeah. So, and I knew this was going to happen. I'm a little surprised it was the judge, but some judges have. That's why they call it an opinion when a judge releases an opinion. I think she's wrong. I think at some point you got to look at it less like a labor issue and more like a sports issue. I think it was a good idea to say, okay, well, NIL is going to be, you got to have legit NIL. It's not necessarily putting a cap on it either. It's just giving fair market value, eliminating pay for play. But she doesn't sound like she wants to do it. And so the NCAA is balking, and now the lawyer for the House settled. He wants to just go ahead. Well, we'll just go to court. He's talking tough. He doesn't even care, like lawyers do. So I think it's going to end up being a little bit more messy before they get anything concrete settled.
Yeah, I've heard they're talking about, and I don't know, I hope so or not, because I have a son, but they're talking about giving these kids 5 years now. You have 5 years. So I guess you could play 5 years. If you get hurt, you got 5 years. Are you hearing that, JC? Is that on the table?
That's been something that's been talked about. You never really know, because all of a sudden you'll hear something for a year or two, and then it goes through committee, and they're like, well, the committee approved it. And you're like, well, I hadn't heard much about that in 18 months. And that's the way they work, shrouded in secrecy, But that's been kind of very bantered around for a while. I think in football they did a good thing by saying, all right, the bowl game doesn't count toward your red shirt, because that kind of helps the bowls. But most guys are there 5 years. It's not as hard to get a medical exemption as it used to be, that kind of thing. So, hey, if they do that, I'm all for it. And But what I wouldn't want to have happen is like a guy that has bad luck with injuries for 3 years. I wouldn't want him to to just put a hard cap on it and say 5 and you're out and that's it. I still think there needs to be exceptions, but if you just give everybody a blanket 5 years, that's fine. You don't have to worry about redshirting. You just rock and roll with the 5.
Yeah, well, they probably want to run some of them out, and the ones that are really good won't stay 5 anyway. At this level.
Yeah, definitely.
Hugh Freeze, what's your thoughts on Hugh Freeze? He came out and said that they only called one bad play, that the other part was execution. So he basically took his quarterback, who everybody was mad at already, and he threw gasoline on fire for not taking responsibility for not having them ready in the right game. But most head coaches stand up and take responsibility. I've been on this all week. He does not do that, JC. Just your thoughts about him. I know he's recruiting well, but that's a flaw to me when he rolls his coaches on the bus, and he'll end up rolling his players on the bus as well.
And I'm gonna agree with Paul Feinbaum.
Oh boy.
And this sounds weird. He said he met with Hugh Freeze, and it almost seemed like he didn't want to be there. I think that's a fair question. When you look at his, and it's just outside looking in. Obviously we know that these days in college football, to recruit at a high level, it takes more than just being a great recruiter, like Hugh Freeze proved he was at Ole Miss. And Auburn's doing their job there, definitely. But I think when your heart's not into something, as a coach, I've seen this before. This is kind of how it plays out. You sort of, you're fired up and ready to go when you're playing Alabama or whoever. But, the other things, you just kind of, it doesn't kind of get you going. Like at Liberty, he's the underdog every time. But he lost some games at Liberty he should have lost. And so, I think it's plausible. I think if you're Hugh Freeze, you got to ask yourself the question: do you want to be the head football coach at Auburn University? Not do you want to make that much money? Not do you want to get up for the Alabama game every year? Not do you want to go beat Georgia? Do you want to do what it takes to elevate this program again? And if it were just New Mexico State or just Cal, you'd kind of go, oh, okay, that's one game. You don't judge a tenure on one game. But this is like the third time since that New Mexico State game that this has happened. Remember, Maryland lost to his little brother before the bowl and soundly whipped Auburn in the Music City Bowl last year. Soundly. Maryland, the Terps. Auburn came back, but I remember that day because I think I got married that day. And I was sitting there watching it at the bar, getting ready for my wedding, and so in Florida. So that was shocking. And Cal, you knew Cal was not going to be. You only beat them by 4 last year. This is not a team that came in and like New Mexico State last year and shocked you. So something's up, and they need to solve it. Auburn people have been recently more patient than people give him credit for. I know Harsin was just a disaster. He had to move on quickly, but they gave Gus chance after chance after chance after he turned it around and stuff, signed a big contract. They gave Tommy Tuberville more time than people thought. They gave even Chizik. After the national championship, had an 8-5-ish year. He came back. He went winless in the SEC and got fired. So, I think that Auburn people are willing to give him a chance. But boy, you just, if this type of stuff continues to happen, you're never going to get ahead because it's one step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it. He just.
Well, yeah, and the accountability thing's spot on, man. He mentioned that last year after the bowl game, like it wasn't his fault. And
then when they won at Cal, they had a play they scored at the end, and he wasn't the coordinator, but he said he called that play. I called that play. That was my play.
Well, he may wear a visor, but he ain't Steve Spurrier. So, I mean, I know he's in The Blind Side and all that, or fictionalized in The Blind Side and all that good stuff. And I like Hugh Freeze. I mean, I've always thought he's a heck of a coach, but there's just something, even his demeanor, even how he looks in the press conference, he looks like he's just pissed off or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Dad, anything else for JC before we let him?
That's a good job.
JC, tell everybody about what all you got going, where they can catch your podcast, everything you got.
Sure. Go to Apple Podcasts or Google Play. Download the Chief Sports app and listen to JC and Morgan. We talked a little bit about Auburn this week, some of the shocking upsets that happened, how the game changes so much week to week these days, and how with the portal and everything else, there's just a lot of assuming that goes on out there. And I think we kind of issued a warning. All those that care, don't assume. Don't assume, because the minute you do that, this game will humble you quickly, or humble you in your opinion. So go check that out. Go to jcandmorgan.com. It's me, Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. It's a very good listen, and certainly we'd love for everybody to tune in.
Thank you, JC.
Thanks, JC.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. So he's on the Gamecocks in this particular game. So we'll see. And he sounded like he was pretty high on Alabama and covering that 16. But some interesting lines here for the week. All right. We'll take this break up with the phone lines, 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We've got some wet and soggy weather around the area right now. Don't have any significant delays, but you do want to be careful when driving. Reduce your speed, especially when driving on all bridges, transition ramps, overpasses. Also, you might find a few trees down here and there.
Nowhere at airport security. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover best-selling action titles on Audible.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and windy with rain and thunderstorms today. The chance of a few brief isolated tornadoes, the high 75. Showers diminishing tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Want to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Download the Tide 100.9 app today.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Wonder if they think there'd be a lot of, I know a few people that are going to Wisconsin. Think they have a lot of Alabama fans travel to Wisconsin for the game this weekend?
I think a few. Yeah, I think a few. I don't think there will be as many as when Coach was there. I just don't. I just think not that the program's gone down. They're ready to fuss at you when you don't beat the line or whatever happens to you. But I'm not sure that they're going to be rolling up there. They've got when Greg Byrne was making the schedule for the future, he said, because they're playing, I think it's Minnesota, Notre Dame, somebody, Ohio State, it'll be real hot down here during those times, and the fans will really go up there to get some cool air.
No.
That's what he said. So.
That's why he scheduled it, so they have...
No, it's not why he scheduled it. That's what he says. He said that it'll be a nice and cool up there.
Let's see here what the temperature's going to be. It says at kickoff, I don't know, this thing says 65 degrees. So, 11 a.m. kickoff, that shouldn't be a problem. Alabama's practicing in the morning anyway, so their body's pretty much used to getting up early, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be. Can they stop? Can they use Milroe a little bit? And can they get to him a little bit? He's hard to get to. Pass rush is not great. You get tired pretty quick. Of course, Alabama's offensive line has got to improve over last week. About that, and I guess they got everybody well. The
line was a problem last year. We kept thinking they'd fix it, and it was never really ever. It was I mean, I know they won the SEC. I know that sounds stupid, but we'll see how that line does up in Madison. I think it'll be difficult early to hear, so they'll have to have some hand signals and stuff to get those plays.
Oh yeah,
off.
it'll be. You can't simulate it back in Tuscaloosa. I don't think by having you'll have crowd roars. I'm not sure the coach even does that, but you certainly can't simulate it.
Yep. All right, we'll take this top of the hour break. We'll up at the phone lines 205-342-9904. Also have a little bit of the coach's show last night from Coach Kalen DeBoer. We don't think Yellowwood, they made this 7 o'clock hour possible. If you want to build something to last, there's only one choice. That would be pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer closest to you. And as they always say, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. Power outages continue to mount as Francene's eastern bands pass across West Alabama this morning. There are 14,000 outages statewide, 2,100 of them right here in Tuscaloosa County. Winds continue to bring down trees and power lines. Volunteer firefighters have spent the morning responding to those roadway blockages. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square Media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL. Thursday Night Football coming up tonight in Miami with the Dolphins hosting the Buffalo Bills in an AFC East clash. Miami has ruled out running back Raheem Mostert with a chest injury, while running back Devon Achane will be a game-time decision with an ankle injury. College football news. Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State are reportedly leaving the Mountain West Conference to join Oregon State and Washington State in the Pac-12 in 2026. In baseball games of note, the Braves lose to the Nationals 5-1. Atlanta falls out of the tie for the final wildcard spot in the National League. They're a game back of the Mets, who stunned the Blue Jays 6-2. New York didn't have a hit going into the ninth inning, then scored 6 runs to get the win. Yankees over the Royals 5-4 in 11 innings. Kansas City falls 4.5 games back of Cleveland in the AL Central.
Birmingham. Plus, don't miss our grand opening celebration Friday, October the 11th through Sunday, October 13th. And check us out at academy.com with free shipping on purchases over $25.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Allstate Insurance agent Andrew Kniffer. Andrew is my agent. Let Andrew become yours. He's at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. You just call him up, 205-722-9201. You're looking for home, life, auto, whatever you need. Andrew and his staff will make sure you're taken care of when you need to use your insurance. That you want to have people that know exactly where to send you. And these guys will take care of it there as well. Give them a call today, 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. Get Jason in. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. What's up, Barry?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Enjoying this nice weather in Tuscaloosa, man.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Quick, I have a question for you, but Coach Sanderson, Barry's got to answer this, not you, because
that's fine.
I heard you on a talk show.
That's fine.
All right, so if you're at Northridge High School state championship, you draw up a play, and you're Jimmy Chitwood, okay? And if people don't know who Jimmy Chitwood is, he's a fictional character in the movie Hoosiers, and he can shoot the lights out. You draw up that play, and he shoots it, and you win the state championship. Who won the game, the player or the coach?
The team. Did he make the shot?
No, he made the shot. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. The crowd goes crazy.
But one play does not
Hang on. That's right. Simple answer. Now,
the team won it.
Good question.
The team won
hang
it.
Hang on, Barry.
All right, you asked me a question. I said the team won it.
This
is my deposition. All right. Same play. He misses a shot. You lose that championship. Did the coach drop the wrong player? Or did the player just not make the shot?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just asking.
Well, I mean, Bo. I mean, he missed a shot, but what does that? One shot does not determine.
I'm calling in defending myself on a comment you made on Monday.
Okay, go ahead.
You said people should not be, and I agree with this part. You should not be personally attacking people on social media over a freaking play of a football game. I agree with that 1,000,000%. However, nowadays it's different. It's different than 2 years ago. The first question that the parents, you might as well include the aunts and the uncles, ask, how much you going to pay me in recruiting? That's fact. Do you agree or disagree?
Not every situation. So some do, but not every situation, no.
98.9% they ask, how much you going to pay me?
Not that high.
Yes, they do.
Not that high.
In college football,
they don't.
In the high profiles, they do.
They don't.
Anyway, once they start getting paid, are they an employee or not?
I mean, you can determine however you want. They're getting paid. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know how you would. Right. I don't know if I would determine an employee.
I got paid $25 to Yale, Alabama to get an autograph.
You don't have to. That's your decision.
No. To get it down there on the field, you got to pay $25.
Yeah, but I'm saying you don't have to.
Hang on. Okay. So I know how much those houses in Highgrove run. I know how much denial. I'm not going to call anybody's name. But nowadays, you're an employee, and the average John Q fan has 100% right to at least criticize or critique something. I'm not saying you ought to say, man, we're going to his house and burn him down. I'm not saying that. It's changed. Now, college football especially is a business, and that's what the NIL has done to this crap, because that's what it is.
Are you through? So what are you asking? Saying that.
My question is you. So you still think John Q. Fan has no right to critique employees?
I don't have a problem with you critiquing. It's when you get personal and you start talking about don't go eat somewhere because this kid didn't.
Never said that.
Well, I wasn't talking about. I'm just saying don't. But people did, right? You saw that all over social media when they get absolutely personal.
That's the ridiculous. But that's the radical fan.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the fan that thinks we can compete with the Dallas Cowboys. That's the fan that thinks we're going to lose 3 games in 1 year. Then the next call, he thinks we're going to win 12.
It's also the fan that never has played. They don't know how. They couldn't come close to playing that position, and they want to they run down a guy who you want Alabama to recruit well. You got and so when things go bad, that's when you need people's support. You don't need people piling on you at that point. You think a kid that makes a mistake doesn't know he made a mistake? Do you think who wants to get it right more, he or the fan? The fan is drinking the brown liquor, and he goes on social media and thinks he can say whatever he wants about a kid. I don't like that. You can put whatever you want to.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. The personal attack.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
But they have John Q. fans should have the right to critique now if you're getting paid.
Yeah, but not get Well, you can do whatever you want. I just don't have to agree with you. You can get personal, and you can do whatever you think is fine. I just don't agree with it.
If my guys that work for me did something wrong in a service, and a person calls me back, and they did do something wrong that they're getting paid to do, I have to go back and correct that, and I can't charge them for it because I could have done it right.
Let me ask you this: if one of your guys went and they made a mistake on a yard, they put the wrong whatever in it, and some guy went to social media and said, that place is horrible. Never use them. They came over here. They killed my grass. They'll kill yours. They're awful. They're terrible. They're the worst. Whoever you use in this town, do not use them. How would that make you feel?
No.
No, how would you feel? You would say, wait a minute, that was just one time.
No, I'll tell you how I feel. If my guys did that, then as the owner, I got to bow up and take responsibility and prove to other customers that that's not going to happen again. But I also had to fix the problem.
But it would bother you, right?
I mean, it's the world we live in now.
But I'm saying it wouldn't be true when you're saying, well, he does that to everybody's yard. So they put out stuff there that's not true. That would bother anybody. If a guy loses a case, that's a terrible lawyer. He always does, and it's not true. And again, the personal attacks, it's like a couple of those holding calls. They weren't holding. The guy wasn't, the referee missed it.
That long touchdown was a pity, terrible call.
But the kid got killed over it.
That's from a radical fan there. That doesn't understand what a holding call.
That's what I'm talking about.
Anyway, I didn't mean to take up 11 minutes
good.
of your time.
You're good, buddy. I'll talk to you. All right. See you, buddy. All right. Back to the.
I got on another show the other day. Is the reason he did that.
Oh, do what now?
I got on another show and said, if I told, I didn't use your name. If I told Barry to go to Montgomery, and Barry went to Florence, is it my fault or Barry's?
But my point is, if you did that, but when you got in front of the media, you still would take responsibility. I didn't give him clear directions. You wouldn't roll the kid under the bus, correct?
All right.
Even though the kid probably did wrong. All right, back to the Andrew Conifer hotline. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Barry. Hey, Coach. How are y'all?
Oh, we're okay.
We're good.
Barry, you hit the nail on the head. The brown liquor is the common denominator of idiocy.
There's always if you type out a tweet or something and you're sitting there thinking, should I post this? Should I do that? If you have to ask, should you? Don't.
Well, you don't ask if the brown liquor is helping you type.
If you wake up the next morning and you look, you say, "Ooh," and you have to delete it. That means you probably should put your phone away while you're watching the game.
Wilkin is 6'6", 320 pounds, I believe. If you wouldn't say it to his face, don't say it on social media. Because if you say it to his face, guess where he's going to put his foot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I agree with you. You know, it's okay to critique, but don't let the brown liquor do the talking. You know, and that's a mistake with a lot of things. You can go and look at the gun violence in Birmingham and various places in the state of Alabama. That's brown liquor. It's pulling the trigger. And, you know, but I'm going to get off that because that leads to political and all that, and I don't want to do that.
Well, I want to ask y'all a political question.
Okay.
Do y'all, because I remember when I was growing up, it was always hush-hush about how much money your parents made. You had never had a clue. And it was always hush-hush about who they were voting for. It was between you and when you went into the ballot box, you voted, but you didn't tell people. Now you've got, these pro athletes, you got entertainers all coming out and endorsing a particular candidate. Do you guys think that's good to do that?
You need to drop that subject right now because that is a rabbit hole. I'm telling you do not want to go down, and because it would consume the show for the rest of the year, and we don't want to do that. Let's drop that, okay?
So, all right. So do you think they should or shouldn't? I'm not even asking you who you.
I don't think anybody should run around and tell their business about things like that. I really don't. People should be allowed to draw their own conclusions and cast their own vote. That's the way I believe.
Yeah. So now, they asked Caitlin Clark last night, and so she just said, "I'm not going to endorse anybody. Go do your own research on it." Patrick Mahomes said the same thing.
Exactly.
But
and now Brittany and Taylor Swift have a feud going on over it. You see what I'm saying? And it's just it's ridiculous. But I wanted to talk about. Are you through with that one?
Yeah, I'm through.
Okay, all right. I'm not trying to be rude.
No, you're good.
Let's don't go there.
No, okay.
That's just. I don't think you ought to ruin your show with politics.
No, I ain't gonna do that.
So politics is so stupid now.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I want to talk about JC and his comments. I thought, really look forward to every Thursday and JC coming on. And, the conversation y'all have with him is really good and entertaining. And but you've been on this Hugh Freeze thing this week, and actually it started before that. And JC, I thought it was interesting that he said that Feinbaum, and I hate quoting Feinbaum on such a fine show as y'all, but he said he got the feeling he didn't want to be there. Is that what you're picking up on, or did you just sense something was wrong with this kind of guy that's coaching? I mean, let's go down that road for a minute.
Dad, do you think Hugh Freeze looks like a guy that's not happy at Auburn? That's what JC was saying.
I think he's a guy that I don't know if he's happy or not, but I think what he went through, he's probably pretty thankful that he got another job. Liberty bailed him out. He got that Liberty job, and it moved him on to higher ground because he had been to Tuscaloosa or had been at wherever he'd beaten Coach Saban twice, and that flipped it for him. So I think he's thankful that he's where he is. I don't know how happy he is. He seems to not be able to get him in the right spots. But I do think that behind the scene, he's probably pretty happy they got back on that bigger plane of coaching.
That's interesting. The second thing I wanted to bring up was Bill O'Brien. I love what JC said about him, and I like his comment about some of these people in Tuscaloosa and their take on Bill O'Brien. I, for one, thought Bill O'Brien was an outstanding coach. I've liked Bill O'Brien since he was with the Patriots the first time he went up there, and then he became offensive coordinator at the Patriots, and I thought he did an outstanding job in that capacity. I wish Boston College would win the national championship. I wish they'd go undefeated and win the national championship and stuff it in these people that don't think Bill O'Brien's a good coach.
Well, all these people that were criticizing all the assistant coaches here recently, now they're criticizing. They've been talking about how great this staff is. And I think the staff's great.
Yeah.
I think but now they're talking about their play calling here now. It's the play calling here. That's they just won. The first game was 63-0. So now they're talking about these guys play. It never ends, Tom. If you don't score on every possession, then you're a bad play caller.
They don't know anything about
I agree with you.
They don't know anything about it. I don't know how to fill teeth. I'm not a dentist. I don't know a thing about it. And a dentist don't know a cotton-picking thing about running and passing the football.
Well, when people sit around and try to tell you who should be playing, if you don't go to practice every day, you're not in there, you're not in the meetings, you don't know if a guy is habitually late to things. Does one guy not practice hard and the other guys outworked him and earned the opportunity to start? And then you get to the games, and sometimes the guy that did everything he was supposed to do gets in the game and doesn't perform as the guy that was a little bit slack, and so you end up overlooking it and switching. There's so many things that go into why I got so trying to get on a radio and tell you who should be playing when you're not there every single day, to me, is ridiculous.
Well, but you have to understand something, all of you. If it wasn't for that, talk radio would be no good.
True. You got something there now, because you got John Q. Fan on the line right now, and he thinks he knows every freaking thing, and you know what I mean? And so it does make it entertaining. That's why I don't like for people that call in to criticize other callers. You know, we all got our thing, that would call in and talk about, but it shouldn't be criticized by the other callers. We kind of like, let people express. But anyway, I thought it was interesting, his take on, and I wanted to bring this up too. The offensive coordinator at Boston College, JC, brought this up, and I had picked up on it. He worked with Belichick at the Patriots, and he worked with Bill O'Brien when he was at the Patriots. They're two good coaches. And guess who's helping with the defense?
Who?
Belichick.
Is he?
Yes. He helped with the game plan against Florida State with Boston College's defense.
How do you know that?
Well, I read it in the paper, and I cannot remember exactly what it was, but and I wasn't the only one. I heard it. Someone else speak to it that Bill O'Brien had brought him in to help him, try to get things during fall camp, and he had come in and worked with the defense some then, and also, and I guarantee he's going to have some input into the game plan against Missouri.
Yeah. What is it now about the people? Is it just they want to be funny, or they want to turn people against people, that they'll get on things and just outright lie, just make up something?
What are you saying I lied about?
No, I'm not talking to you at all. I'm talking about like Deion Sanders. Like Deion Sanders made a lot of mistakes, but somebody got on there and said when his son throws a touchdown, he told the band, "Don't play the fight song because we're going to play his rap song."
No, he denied it.
And he said, "That's a lie. I never said that." Like these things.
Right.
Why do we do this stuff now?
Well, because we've talked about this before, but I want to point something out to you. Now, you can kick me off the air and suspend me or whatever for what I'm fixing to say. But the Bible prophecy is there will come a time when people say what's good is, or what's bad is good, and what's good is bad. We're in those days now. And the Bible also says that people will climb a tree to tell a lie when the truth will work better standing on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, that's in the Bible.
Yeah. But don't politicians lie, fans, we lie, coaches lie, everybody lie.
The fairness doctrine, which governs on-air communications, radio and TV, the fairness doctrine is that you must tell the truth. And it's supposed to be a consumer protect. We're not protected from crap from politicians.
It's not just politicians; it's everybody.
Well, now it is, but it used to be, that hey, you can't say that because it's not true, advertiser. But the politicians, they kept saying lie after lie after lie, and they perfected the art of lying.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
I don't know how we got off on all that, but anyway, I got attacked at the first call from Jason. It's gone downhill ever since. No, it's been fine. All right, we'll take this break. We'll open up the phone lines. We also have some Coach DeBoer sound from last night as well, so we could take it whichever direction you guys want to go. You guys want to pick up that? Do you think it's fine just to get on social media and get personal with guys? Is that okay? If somebody did it to you in your business, you wouldn't like it. I can tell you that for sure. And so that's just part of it. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We've got some rain. We've got some wet streets in the area. Be careful out there when traveling, folks, and reduce your speed. Now, if you are making your way on Skyland Boulevard, we got a door dinger at Old Greensboro Road. It's sitting on the shoulder, right shoulder to be exact, so it's not really...
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Crimson Tide Today is presented on Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230 by BMW of Tuscaloosa. Online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by The Good Feet Store. The Good Feet Store is a proud supporter of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For over 25 years, The Good Feet Store has been helping people get back to the life they love without their feet getting in the way. Start your journey at goodfeet.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama linebacker Justin Jefferson.
We really buying in there, and we're really ready to take on anybody that comes in Bryant-Denny or wherever we go.
Have you liked the fan atmosphere so far here in Tuscaloosa?
Oh, yeah, it's all shoot. Me coming from JUCO, hey, it's always great going out seeing 100,000. I ain't never in my life seen that many people in one spot. It'd be crazy. I love it.
Do you love the Walk of Champions too every game day?
Every like I said, I came from JUCO. What I came from is way different. It makes you appreciate it way more. Everything, every little tradition, everything we do, I just can't do nothing but sit down and look, and thank God. I'm like, man, this is crazy every time.
I'll have more in a moment.
This is Christian Miller for The Good Feet Store. I know from playing football at Alabama and in the NFL that if you have foot, knee, hip, or back pain, it can be a huge challenge. The Good Feet Store is designed to personally fit you with arch supports that alleviate and even eliminate your pain altogether. Try them before you buy them. They're in your free, no obligation, personalized fitting, and you can wear them home the same day. So if you're looking to improve your game, The Good Feet Store has you covered. Stop in for a free, personalized fitting today. Roll to victory at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Roll Tide.
If you missed last night's episode of Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show, catch it on demand on the Alabama Insider Podcast. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and windy with rain and thunderstorms today. The chance of a few brief isolated tornadoes, the high 75. Showers diminishing tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the locker room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. Look at the new inventory, the pre-inventory right there on the website. Justin told you yesterday about all the different pre-owned vehicles they have on the lot as well, and they go through and inspect them with a fine-tooth comb, so you know you're getting a great vehicle there. You need to schedule a service. You want to rent a Toyota. You can do it all right there at the website. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. All right, Dad, just your thoughts about Alabama in this particular road game there. And I think somebody said, what are you looking for there? But don't you, I mean, the next game, they have an off week, then they get ready for Georgia. But wouldn't you like to kind of get the line together that's going to start against Georgia if everybody's healthy, try to get them out there playing? You don't want the first time they're together because surely they'll be healthy in 2 more weeks. But wouldn't you like to kind of get those guys together in this particular game?
Well, the offensive line dictates how well the running game and how well Jalen will play with the passing game does. And if the offensive line doesn't do the job that they need to do, the other two that I've just mentioned won't do very well. So you're exactly right. The offensive line's got to be positioned. I think they got to hurt people well. Got to be positioned. They've got some people I like a little bit better than others, and they got to play them because those people that they're playing in this particular game in the offensive line, you don't tell them that now, but they've got to do that same job a week later against Georgia. So I think you're dead on. I think the offensive line got to, if you look at Alabama and you want to try to find some disagreement, and everybody does, that's talk radio. It's the running game not established, as they like to use that word. They've got to block them against the pass rush so that Milroe will be
ready to throw the football when he needs to run it, and throw it away if the pass is not there, and not getting. And the other factor is the penalty situation. Where do you stand with getting after somebody that continues to make penalties? And they have the attitude that they get away from the public and they try to nail the guy that way. Probably the best way to do it. So turnovers and penalties were huge in that game. So you'd have to come up with something else. But that's the two factors that's got to be. You just can't be. And they're going to hit you hard. Wisconsin's going to try to knock the ball out of your hands best they can. So you got to be sound with your running game. You got to avoid your penalties. And you got to do a good job with your offensive line. That's my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Going to the app messages, Joe and Dothan. Don't get this much. Chase, he says, I agree 100% with Barry. I'm constantly being lectured by my favorite actors and musicians about politics. They all virtue signals constantly. Politics has become people's identity in so many cases now. I remember growing up in the late 80s and 90s, it was hardly ever talked about. That is Joe from Dothan.
Well, the thing about it is that these high-priced entertainers, when they walk into the grocery store, instead of looking for one loaf of bread, they look for 10. They don't even look for that. They have the guy that's with them. They're not on the same wavelength as John Q. Fan is, myself, you, and everybody, our callers when we walk into the grocery store. We walk into the grocery store, we get what we think you get, and we look at the price of a lot of it. Some of it we don't, but some of it we do. A cotton-picking person that's got so much money they don't know what to do with it, I don't care who they vote for. They can form their own opinion as to who they want to vote for. I don't give a rat's rookie. But you're not going to tell me how to vote. You're not going to tell me how to vote because you can buy 50 loaves of bread and I can only buy one. I'm going to do it as I please. And the problem is you go with your own economic ability to do what you need to do. And a lot of listeners listen to our show. Economically, they've got money, but they also watch their money. There are people that don't watch their money. They don't care. And every time they show that they're going to give somebody something, and I'm not talking about giving crippled people money or simply helping somebody that needs it. They want to do it to show how much they've got. So to me, it's completely. I don't pay attention to it.
All right, let's tell them about, speaking of money, let's tell them about Bryant Bank here before we get to break.
Well, go into a Bryant Bank in Tuscaloosa or Birmingham, and you've got some big ones there. I think you'll find a banker that's interested in you and is surrounded by people that can help you regardless whether you're trying to borrow money to buy a home or whether you can cash a check or whether you need information about anything. Bryant Bank can help you. They've been there for a long time, in I think Tuscaloosa since 2005. Time flies now, doesn't it? And so they'll do a good job with you. You're able to bank online around the clock. You're going to be protected against problems that come with people trying to take your money. People, a guy worried me to death trying to get my credit card number, and he won't call again. So anyway, those kinds of things are important to you as you go through. They're little things, but they're big things. So go by Bryant Bank, tell them you heard it on Inside the Locker Room, and give them a try, and I think you'll be pleased.
You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We've got some rain. We've got some wet streets in the area. Be careful out there when traveling, folks, and reduce your speed. Now, if you are making your way on Skyland Boulevard, we got a door dinger at Old Greensboro Road. It's sitting on the shoulder, right shoulder to be exact, so it's not really too bad.
Great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Welcome back to Inside Long. So we'll turn to Blue Plate Special. We'll do that tomorrow. And that Chuck Norwood actually messaged me. He said it's 60. He's up in Wisconsin. And that Blue Plate Special will be brought to you by the Chuck Norwood team, Remax of Gulf Shores. So if you're buying or selling down in the Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area, then Chuck Norwood is your man. 33 years of experience, and that counts for something. 251-948-1212, or go to chucknorwood.com, and the Blue Plate Special will be out tomorrow. All right, let's go ahead and hear Coach DeBoer, who had his call-in show last night. We're not going to listen to the calls, but we'll play a little bit of it there. We'll probably cut it off here in just a few minutes, but just give you a feel for what was said last night. Because it's the last opportunity for him really to say anything publicly towards with the media. So here was Coach DeBoer last night.
Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you with us for another edition of the Kalen DeBoer Show, the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Joining us, the show presented by Alpha Insurance, Auto, Home, Life, Business. Alpha Insurance covers it all. AlphaInsurance.com. Coach, 2-0. Congratulations on the start to the year, and weathered a little bit of a storm and learned a lot about your team, I would imagine, with their character in the fourth quarter of that game on Saturday.
Yeah, the guys did a nice job finishing the game, and a lot to take from it. And they've came back to work and doing a great job here the first 2 days of practice. And that's what this process is all about. That's what the journey's all about. It's going back to work, and these guys want it more than anyone.
How good was South Florida?
Yeah, they're a solid team, and I think anytime you have a quarterback that understands the system, he's been there, worked in sync with your head coach, your play caller. I think you have all those reps and the accumulated, kind of banked reps that they have. They know what they want to do. They want to run the football. They do enough in the passing game, and the quarterback's a tough guy to bring down. So they did a nice job and made enough plays to stay on the field at times, and then defensively just did enough to keep it close.
I understand it's important to win the battles so that you can win the war, but I'm not saying roll the dice, but you had to play some guys because of injury. Or you didn't have some guys available, is the better way of putting it, Coach, on the offensive front. And you got to build depth at every position, understand to be who you want to be by season's end. Tell me how you're doing from a health standpoint and how things look heading into the weekend, realizing full well we're still 2 days away from your team getting on the plane.
Yeah, I think anytime when you're talking offensive line, you're talking, right? Offensive line, I think you always got to think going into a year, you got to have 7 to 8. Very few years. I can think of one in particular back about 4, 5, 6 years ago where we got through with really 5 to 6. But I think you got to have 7, 8, and that's on a good season. And so having that depth and those reps and that game experience, it's critical. And there's a lot that happens in a week, and we're not just talking about the offensive line. There's a lot of things. People just think that your team's in order and they're healthy, and that's not counting in. That's counting injuries is what you're really thinking. But then there's life happening. There's there's other things that just you're working through, and that happens throughout the week. And what you see on game day, sometimes it took a little more to get there than what people realize. But we're working through, I think in a better position this week than we were last week, and looking forward to going and taking on the next challenge at Wisconsin.
Everybody thinks, oh, you're a lineman, but that's not true. Tyler Booker's a Great lineman, but that was a brand new look for him the other day when you broke it down, factoring that piece of the equation in. How was it?
Yeah, I love Book, and just he did a nice job throughout the week working guard and tackle, just getting those reps. We know what he could do at guard, felt very comfortable there, but just changing the lineup and then put Gino in at guard, but Gino's also a center for us, right? And Gino's also a right guard, so you're not just working him at left guard, you're working him at other spots throughout the week, and there's a lot of mixing and matching that it kind of sets off when you don't have everyone completely healthy. And it might mean that they're practicing some, but they're still very limited, in what they do. So that happens at other positions too. Right. That's the one that I know is just catching a lot of attention right now. But that happens at other positions throughout the week. Guys, working through stuff, and it's amazing what you see them all wearing throughout the week. And they get on the football field, they got boots, they got braces, they got all kinds of stuff, and they find a way to get out there for practice a little bit, and then games on Saturday.
We saw you, as it played out, get a lot of throws early to Jeremy Bernard. Was that by design, or did that just kind of happen?
Yeah. I think he's just naturally going to be a guy that's incorporated in the offense. We threw only 9 times in the first game. He got a couple, I think, maybe 1 or 2 targets. And then, last week, he had another 1 or 2 that one got called back from a penalty on the scramble, I think, that we completed past midfield there. So there was even some more out there that I think he could have gotten involved with. But he's going to be a key player for us. If we're going to move the ball up and down the field, he's one of those guys along with the others that we've seen getting the job done. It's pretty nice.
All right, and there's we're not going to play all that. There's coach. There's just there's a lot of coach talk there. It comes across good. What do you think about these shows now? And I know they do it because they get big media contracts. A lot of their money's paid through their media there and their obligations there with the media. Just your thoughts about these shows?
Well, I think you're dead on it. That it's incorporated in what they make with their media package that may go out to their salary. There are some assistant coaches. We had the Shepherd kid on, and I thought he was very good. He was a little bit wild but good. And I think maybe they tried to talk, or the head coach does, in general terms. You'll mention a player or so, but you're going to be very careful. You're not going to hang up the phone knowing who the first ranked back is versus the second. You're just not going to know 1s and 2s and 3s. You're not going to give that out. But I think it's part of college football. It's part of what Alabama's always done with a coach's show. I think over a 10 or 12 week period, it's maybe the same thing gets a little bit long, Barry, but maybe they'll get a little bit more into detail as you go to it.
Yeah, and they bring in a player every week, and that helps. So Coach Saban, he tried to be entertaining and tried to pump up the fans in there and try to let them know how important the atmosphere is at the stadium on these big games and all, or if he needed to send a message to his team. So he used these things for different opportunities to do things that Coach DeBoer just doesn't do. I think he does his stuff there behind closed doors with his players, and which is fine. It's just a different way of doing it, and he's doing it his way. I would take this last break. We can open up the phone lines 205-342-9904. Then we can get out of the way and make way for the Gary Harris Show. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show. The coach, Ellis Johnson, will break down SEC football, plus the Falcons report with D. Orlando Ledbetter. The Falcons laid an egg this past Sunday against the Steelers. And we'll also check in with Jeff Spiegel from ABC 3340. That and more. That's the Gary Harris Show, Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, we do have some nasty, soggy weather outside right now, so that is causing some issues as far as electricity and traffic lights. And one we have here, well, actually a couple of sites, traffic lights completely out on 15th Street, both north and southbound at the 359 intersection and also at the
Tuscaloosa. Or you can shop online at TuscaloosaCDJR.com. At Tuscaloosa Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, you pick it out and we'll work it out. Roll Tide.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy and windy with rain and thunderstorms today. The chance of a few brief isolated tornadoes, the high 75. Showers diminishing tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a few scattered showers and storms around, the high 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room Mars show. We have Coach Jack Crow, always a great guest. If you really want to get in depth with football, Coach Crow will join us at 7:30. Obviously, Coach Smith will join us hopefully at 8:15, and Dad will release the Blue Plate Special. I don't know why we can't get you. You had better luck when you did it on Thursday, but you're being hard. You're being hard.
I do it.
You're being hard-headed about it.
I think it helps rather than hurts.
Helps. I think it was what we said about like Coach Saban talked about how difficult it was at A&M, and so he overanalyzes it, and then he ends up missing the pick. That's what Roman Harper said. The guys that don't know as much normally pick them better. But what's 2 or 3 games real quick? We got about 2 minutes that you're looking at for tomorrow.
Well, I think Boston College and Missouri, they're very interesting. I think it's going to 17. The LSU South Carolina game is a tricky game. South Carolina getting 7 after a great win. I think the Florida Texas A&M game is very interesting. I think one game that's interesting to me is South Florida and Southern Miss. 11.5. Southern Miss very poor. South Florida, if they're well, I think that's pretty darn good. People are staying away from Oklahoma because they only had a 2-point win against Houston. They giving 13 to Tulane, and a lot of people are scared of that. I'm not so sure that Oklahoma won't get their team corrected and beat the line on that. So that would be interesting to see. I think Ole Miss and Wake has jumped up there. I forget it. 22 and a half. 22 and a half, I think, just a minute ago. Ole Miss ends up winning by a big score. It just takes them a long time to do it. And so if you like what he does and you feel like that, I think the coaching at Wake Forest is very good. I think he does a really good job. But I don't know if that's the kind of line that you like or not. So those are some of them I thought about.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow bright and early at 7 a.m., so keep it locked in here all day long. The Gary Harris Show is next. You listen to Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.